you folks to be thinking about is a lot of this stuff sounds real pie in the sky, like it's not something that you can achieve, but you just don't know. Like you just don't know that these are things that you can do. This is a lifestyle you can have. You hear people talk about living off the grid. I'm saying I don't have to live on the top of a mountain, and so I could live right next to you in a net zero energy home and have the same and be off the grid. So, can you share with them the difference between, you talked about new builds, but what if they want to retrofit their home? Like, what they want to try and consider? Hey, Chris, I'm not ready for all that, but I already have a home. I've paid for it. Like, what can I do? Can you talk about some things that they might be able to do there?
First of all, is this season 2?
This is wrapping up season 2.
Okay.
Season 2 is sustainability.
I don't know what season 3 is, but season 4, I've already got the topic for season 4.
What's that?
It's gonna be like we're gonna design and build your house.
Okay.
And the title of season 4 is In the City, Off the Grid.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, we just gotta find a location.
Yeah, we
just gotta find a location.
So yeah,
I love that.
You think we'd be sick? I'm running out of energy. See we use.
Stop scrolling. What up, world? It's Legrand, artist and climate activist, host of the Keep That Same Green Energy podcast. Welcome to another episode of Keep That Same Green Energy. Like we always do, we ask our guests to introduce themselves. Guests, please introduce yourself.
Well, I've got multiple hats. So my name is Matt Hoots. I actually met you through a green building publication that we've got a YouTube channel for, Rated Green. So we're actually at one of my projects. I'm a builder, and this is so my other hat is with SawHorse. So we're a design build firm that promotes sustainable construction, sustainable living, and just lowering your eco footprint with construction. So
perfect. So yeah. So I always ask guests, like, what was your first impression when you met Legrand? Like, what did you think? We kind of met kind of uniquely, very organically, but what was your first impression when we actually met in person?
Well, the three things, there's like a story leading up to that. So I was just checking our analytics. Then all of a sudden I noticed YouTube has like a new thing. You can see your subscribers are. Every now and then it gives you a couple of them. I think there might be a feature where you have to turn it on or something like that or not. Right. But I saw a full list. And I'm just looking at logos, icons. I'm like, hey, that one's pretty cool. Legrand, I know the name. It's like, doesn't really match the outlet cover that I'm sure. You don't look like an outlet cover. You don't look like a switch. And then I saw it. I was like, oh, it's got some music element to it. And I was intrigued. So it was basically the imagery that you put out there. It was iconic. Nice. And then I looked you up. And I was like, all right. I went to those. Like, what's it all about? Oh, hip hop, green building, sustainability. He's like, well, I'm about that as well. Music, I was a musician. And I was really reaching out to you because, like, hey, like you're a hip hop artist. My son's a producer. He does a lot of collaborations. Like, yeah, maybe I can make that introduction because I'm Agent Hoots. I'm his agent. So I'm trying to do my job and make a few connections that I've done. So that was the initial thing, but it's like I was really curious about the green building aspect. So I invited you to an event a couple days later. You showed up. Like, all right, there he is. We're talking and. Whole conversation, we didn't really talk about hip hop. We talked about sustainability, talked about green energy, and I was inviting you to like a BS and beer event that we had. It's all about building science, not the other BS. It's about building science and of course, beer. But always drink water at those. But that's where we met.
That's what you're saying because your son is here. But no, I think thanks for that because I think it was very interesting, very unique how the connection happened. I like the fact of, just reaching through the network and kind of being curious and saying, hey, what's this person Legrand into? And I don't mind being, compared to the monopoly that is Legrand, the electrical switches and stuff like that, still keeping the same energy, I guess. But I think one of the things that's most interesting, I didn't know anything about your musical background. Again, you were talking about, your son and you guys will get a chance to meet his son later when we do some musical stuff. But it was very, it's very organic. And it was great for me because many of you know I'm in the search for building a net zero energy home. And so I get this email and I'm like, wait, he connected me through YouTube. I'm like telling everybody, like, dude, this is great. This is a builder, a green builder. It's just like it lines up perfectly. Then as we had some email exchange back and forth, it was like, hey, I'm doing this building science and beer. and many of you don't know, my nerd knows no bounds. My nerd goes much farther than just Marvel comics, and so being in supporting engineering, construction, and architecture for years, a lot of people just think all I do is hip hop music and stuff like that. But I've been actually working in in power and construction for a number of years. And so I wouldn't say that I'm super passionate about that piece of it, but just the combination of engineering, architecture, building, and how it leads to sustainability is obviously a space I play in. So it just it just married well. And then when I got a chance to meet him at the BS and Beer event, it was kind of like, wow, okay, let's connect. I mean, there's so much stuff going on in there. I mean, it was the building science stuff was a little bit beyond my nerd bounds, but I had already because I work for an architecture firm, I already see a lot of that heat transfer and water vapor protection and stuff like that. So it wasn't outside of what I understand. So good link. I'm glad we were able to
No,
connect.
absolutely.
And then as we started talking, it made sense to have you on the podcast. It really connected when we talked yesterday, and I said these are some things we definitely want to make sure come across in the podcast. So for everyone listening, just to make the connection, keeping that same green energy is bigger than just carbon neutral footprint. One thing that you can do to kind of combat climate change. It's also sustainability. And so one of the things we talked about. Well, actually, before I get into that, we always ask our guests, and this is good because you're a musician. If there was a song or something that stands out in your mind when you think about green energy, or you think about keeping that same green energy, or we talked about environmental injustice, like we talked about that a little bit. So is there anything that's like a particular song that stands out in your mind when you think about climate activism or green building?
Yeah, so I've got lots of songs at the top of my head.
Okay.
There's one that initially comes to the top of my head. It's just because it's a cool song, has nothing to do with green building,
Okay.
but there's a story behind it. So there's a jazz musician, Sonny Rollins. He plays this one tune called St. Thomas.
Okay.
This is gonna go somewhere, I promise.
That's fine.
And I'll try to do it in less than 20 minutes. So, but it reminded me of this because I was promoting sustainability. And it reminded me of, and I was talking to this one architect who was from Central America. I know St. Thomas is in Central America, but it's the Caribbean, different cultures embrace sustainability differently.
Yeah.
So we're sitting here with like a little recycle thing, trying to promote that, and this was like maybe 2003, 2004, and I thought we're doing the right thing. It's like, listen, my country does it already, and I'm like, that's pretty cool. You guys are sustainable. It's like, no, we're poor. We can't waste anything. And I was like, man, they're already upcycling. They're already doing that. It's like, because they have to.
They have to.
So I was like, we're sitting here with our first world problems. Things like, oh, look at us. We're doing all these right things. Like, well, some places in the world don't have that.
Right. They don't have a choice.
So I guess that's just one song. It just and again, I love Latin music as well. I just love the whole culture when it comes to the music, the food, and stuff like that. So whenever we're some of these countries like, you need to do this, you need to do that. It's like, well, some countries are already doing it.
Yep.
And it's not because they're not doing it for the right thing; they're doing it for survival.
Yep.
So I think we always need to put all these things in perspective. So there's that song. Being a builder, of course, there's the Bob the Builder song, Bob, and it's just the whole approach is like it's got that call and response in there. It's like, can we do it? And then you've got the little machines and stuff in the background. Yes, we can. And it's like that's really when it comes to construction and sustainability is like, are we able to do it? Yes, we can. I think there was, and again, I didn't watch it. My kids watched it.
Okay.
There's that one indecisive piece of machine, and again, all the machinery talks. And there's one's like, I think we can. So he wasn't quite sure, but most everyone was confident that we can. So it's just, what out there, are we able to do these things?
Of course we are.
Yes, we can. Are people already doing this? And are there a lot of unsung heroes out there? Absolutely.
Right.
there's, you can go to some places, you're not going to find any metal on the ground. People are scrapping that out, and they're finding ways of recycling because there's money in that.
Of course.
So you have to like look at people's incentives, like look at the backgrounds, and when we're doing this messaging, keep that in mind. Understand who your audience is when you're talking to them, but also understand like what motivates them. So like the person that's doing all the recycling, and again, recycling's good. I've been recycling, since I was a little, really young. I was picking up cans. Like my mom's like, I was like, I need some money. He's like, go pick up some cans. I did that, took it, made several bucks from recycling. He's like, this is pretty cool. I can make money with trash. That's a cool concept. But understanding what motivates people, and be able to speak their language and sell to their pain points. So if somebody is hot or cold, is recycling going to help them? No. Is green energy going to help them? Yes. How do you sell that? It's like, hey, listen, like when the power goes out and you got a lot of trees around there, we can promote green energy or something like that, and that's going to help you be more resilient. So
okay.
So I know it was a stretch, but that's those two songs.
So the way I'll correlate it is, one, I want to make sure the audience understands why we ask that question, right? We always ask folks, what is that one song that stands out in our mind? Because then I will find elements of that song or snippets of that song, sample it, and remake a beat, and then that's usually what we rhyme over at the Spill Bars or Fill Jars section of the podcast. The other piece I think it's good to call out is, and we talked about this a little bit too, is can we get the audience to understand, because a lot of them may not understand what does a net zero home or green energy have to, a net zero build, what does green building have to do with Chris's platform? They don't necessarily see the correlation. And you talked a little bit about some of the sustainability things that other countries are doing is out of survival.
Yep.
We just refuse to cut that switch off because there's no friction that we have to deal with. We get a bill, but we don't see that bill for 30 days or so. So we're like, we can put the switch on up and down, and we don't necessarily feel that pain point. But kind of give them some correlation to why I would have somebody who's a green builder on this platform to correlate how that's keeping the same green.
Well, first of all, on the phone, you promised that any song that I mentioned you would sample. So I can't wait to see St. Thomas and Bob the Builder in the sample. I can't wait to see how this goes.
I didn't say we do both. we'll make a choice, but I'm up to the challenge. I'm
pretty sure Bob the Builder's not gonna make the cut, but
he might. He's got a call and response section. We got to use that.
I feel like this is chopped. It's like but like for
no, hey, listen, we're not going to walk away from the challenge.
So I'm gonna talk about this from like a high level, just a view of like why construction matters.
Yep.
And then I told you I can speak for a long time without nerding out and using scientific jargon, but I'm gonna talk about this house to answer that question because
that's perfect.
Something I learned about this house that directly impacts that.
Okay.
So if you look at the total energy used out there, it's typically the built environment, houses, buildings, manufacturing, and transportation.
Okay.
A large percentage of that, and again, that's constantly changing. Let's just say half is the built environment. Built environment is what we're in right now. You're indoors, you've got conditioned spaces, you have these artificial environments, which means that you've got lighting, HVAC, heating, stuff like that. All that takes energy.
Yep.
So you're talking about like, hey, I'm all about green energy, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm working on is like while you're working on is like, hey, let's make energy more sustainable. I'm trying to make it like where we use less energy, and the only way to do that is from the built environment.
Yep.
Now, can I help tackle
specifically design?
Design, okay. Well, design and construction, and really, that could be a whole nother podcast about design and construction.
Correct.
So just really quickly, you can as a builder, and we also do some design work. We can, if I'm just building, I have to work with the design that's there. There's only so much that I can do to overcome some of the flaws in the design. And when I say flaws in the design,
because they typically don't bring the architect doesn't bring the builder in to have those conversations about how it's designed.
It might even be too late. If they don't know, it might even be too late. I can't help them.
Makes sense.
So there's a lot of like uncomfortable buildings out there. For instance, I mean, when you're talking about green energy, what is our power source typically?
Solar. Yeah.
The sun.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're designing a house, we also have to design around the sun.
Yeah.
Most people don't think about that. So if you're designing it and the sun's constantly coming in
Beaming
your
on your
windows,
house.
you're heating up those areas, or your cooling bill. But if you design around the sun, so for instance, in this house, when the sun's kind of coming across the horizon, we're getting enough light to get that indirect light, so you don't have to turn on the switch. So we don't have to turn on that Legrand switch.
Okay.
Up and down to power the light.
So you're using a natural light.
So you're using some natural light.
Gotcha.
But what in the wintertime, so we've got the deciduous trees around here, and just deciduous trees, they lose all their leaves in the wintertime. Gotcha. So in the summertime, they're protecting the house. We don't want the sun hitting the house, because then we're in the South, man. It gets hot.
It gets hot. Yeah.
We're in hot Atlanta, so
yeah.
It gets too hot. So that's actually protecting the house from getting too hot. So it reduces your HVAC load, which means you're using less energy with that. Well, they shed their leaves in the wintertime. So then we get
more sun comes in.
We want the sun in the wintertime hitting the house, warming it up.
Nice.
So all that's free.
Right.
So exactly. when people are saying, it's like, what can I do? It's like, well, none of that have to do with green building. I didn't talk about products. Right. I didn't talk about bringing renewable energy into it. I'm just talking about orientation of the house, where you set the house on the lot. Don't chop down all the trees around your house. And that's one thing we were talking about earlier. People are cutting down trees. They're afraid of the trees. They think the trees are going to kill them. It's like, if it's a dead tree, of course, get it off your lot. But,
correct.
Let me take that back. If it's a dead tree and it's far away from your house and no one's going to be around it, sometimes you want to live it up there so habitat can live in it.
Sure. But we find a way to recycle.
So it starts with the design.
Yep.
So you look at like how does the impact of the design. What are the elements around it?
You're talking about design. You're talking about design of the house, but also the orientation.
Yeah, orientation. So orientation is design.
Yep.
Where you put the windows, how many windows you put in there, because windows, you're part of an architecture firm that they call them openings. I call them windows open. You've got a lot of energy loss through those openings. So you put enough to get the natural light, enough to be able to come in and out, but not so much where the whole house is glass. That's very inefficient. It's going to be. It looks cool. I mean, definitely looks cool. Nice. Just make sure you're not throwing any rocks, and you're good to go. So that's one aspect. Just looking at the design, and then and that's from an energy efficiency point of view. But when you're talking about carbon footprint, so this house right here is going to be the first ever passive house, FIAS house in Georgia.
Nice.
And which means that we're looking at kW, how much kilowatts per square foot. So kilowatts is a unit of energy. I know you know all these things, but for the audience. So I'm judged on like not how energy efficient it is, or did I check off enough boxes to get like LEED gold or like one of these things. This house is pass or fail. You either meet this metric or you don't. And you have to go down this, you have to do all these
rigorous tests.
But what I learned, we're actually penalized because we're in Georgia.
How so?
Because it looks at source power and source energy. So how does, yes, electrical is clean because there's nothing come off electrical, but like what is happening to make that electricity in the first place? What do we have in Georgia? We have coal, natural gas, nuclear.
Yep.
So it's looking at the carbon footprint of the source energy, and
and
then the loss over the transmission lines before it gets to the house. So that's what I'm being judged on, is like how efficient is the source energy. So if the source energy was like, say there's like a wind turbine plant, or if there's something that is like carbon neutral like solar, that would actually give me a better score on this house. So the house is actually, because the rating is actually penalized because of the energy source.
So let me ask you though, but there's no PV on this. So if this was solar and the source was solar, you'd be okay. Assuming you don't have any connection.
You can still add solar. And actually, I was just meeting with a client earlier. We're talking about that. Again, you have to do a lot of pre-planning for solar. Apparently, the engineers didn't give us thick enough rafters to hold the solar up, so we'd have to re-engineer some of that. And I'm like, what am I? I'm going to go.
Why are we not default building homes to support solar panels? That's just Legrand's moment.
I'm going to argue that I think they do. I think they're looking at the wrong panels, because one of the things as part of this house, if you're going to be part of a a green building certification, they have to be solar ready.
Correct.
So if they can't hold solar panels now or in the future, then they weren't solar ready.
Exactly.
So I'm going to go back to the design teams like, hey, what's going on here? Is it something we can fix now? Because even if they choose not to do it now, and like we're trying to get everything built, because right now we're kind of playing with the tax credits. We have to have it installed before the end of the year. We haven't always.
So
the
tax
house isn't going to be
credits
done until next year.
The tax credit for housing is the end of December.
I think it's
Tax credits for EVs is the end of this month. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's what we're dealing with on that. So and then we also, you know, he got a client got a quick quote. It was we're trying to go net zero in this house. So he got a quick quote and they gave him a price, and then plus the engineering's like, yeah, this is gonna be like hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm like, let me relook at that. Definitely get more than one quote for these things and make sure, you know, not everything's equal, and sometimes they're pricing it accordingly. So yes, if we weren't going to meet the threshold like of the kW per square foot just based on the source energy, or if the windows weren't right, or if we didn't have enough insulation, because there's lots of contributing factors to that.
Yep.
Solar would have brought us over the edge. And I did tell the client in the beginning, like, listen,
would have brought you over the edge to the positive.
To the positive for the rating. And again, this house is still super energy efficient. So essentially, you know, you've got those JD coolers out there, and you can put whatever your drink of choice in there. It'll stay cool for days, even if the cooler's in the sun.
Right.
That's what this house is going to be like. So it's going to take very little energy to operate this house. Okay. And then adding just, you know, a few solar panels is going to take it over the edge to the positive. So it's net positive energy. It's actually, you're producing more energy than the house is using, and you're putting that excess back to the grid, or you can store it.
So thank you for that. So my understanding of the definition.
I promised you I wasn't going to get too technical.
No, it's okay. That's all right. We're going there. So my understanding of a net zero energy certified home is PV, is solar, it is HVAC, it is air quality, and no leaks.
Yeah, so it really comes down to, I mean, all those things contribute to the rating. So there's something called a HERS score. It's a home energy rating system. Right. And with the HERS score, if like, say a normal house is like 70, it's just a metric. An old house might be 100 to 150. And this has to do with how much energy you're using. More energy efficient house like Energy Star is probably like 30 to 40 in the 30 to 50 range. Your target is zero. Zero means that you're not using any, you're net zero energy.
Yep.
I went to a house in Vegas at the International Builder Show. The doors are wide open, and like you can't see this here, but we'll do some B-roll of like what we're looking at. We're actually looking at a big open
right out to the
which is going to be a door. You're looking at the woods. Well, this was in Vegas that are wide open, and I looked to the meter. The meter's still spinning backwards. There's so much solar. It was a nice night. First of all, it was at night. It was in Vegas. It was dry. Okay. You couldn't do that, and you can't do that here because of all the mosquitoes and we have humidity. But the meter was spinning back. There's so much solar. They're overpowered with solar. He's actually, you know, providing enough solar for the whole block.
So
he's in desert. It doesn't use as much energy, but the house was still energy efficient. He was able to open the doors because, you know, the conditions inside and out were going to be the same. It was really nice outside, so he was able to do that. But I was just like, that's really cool. So this house had like a negative score for their HERS scores, like negative 50. Wow. And I think I just put a video out on that. I was like, I wasn't expecting that here. They told me like, you know, how leaky the house was and what they did. And it was like, you got a really good score. And I didn't really think that system was going to be super efficient, but it worked. Okay. So the builder was very conscientious. He did a really good job with that. So he had a negative score. So that means even if he tries to waste energy, he's still putting money back to the grid. Okay. I mean, he'd have to have like a jacuzzi. He'd have to like a welder, a sauna, and things like. So even this house, we do have a sauna in this house, and it's still. The house is so efficient that didn't even put a dent in the energy here. Okay.
So hopefully the audience is understanding, like from my perspective, and you saw it in season 1, like growing your own food is a sustainable thing. I think that obviously helps mitigate climate change, right? Because there's less demand on food, which means that they're not clearing more rainforests to have more livestock come in. So the second thing for me is if I get a net zero energy home, I want to get the air quality. I'm not going to have a bill. Like if everything's running on electric and it's 100% on solar, I'm not going to have a utility bill for the life that I'm in that in that home. I use cisterns for water, stuff like that. So in my mind, and we talked about this a little bit, sustainability, sustainability is a buzzword that everyone wants to talk about, but I'm looking at it more from a personal lifestyle change. Is we got into this yesterday a little bit. Like I don't necessarily want my lifestyle in the hands of someone else. Someone else can cut my power off, my refrigerator, my food goes bad. I could die from that, right? Not if in a net zero energy situation, my home is generating just enough power in the course of the year that I need. So whether my demand goes up or goes down, it meets that need. I should never want for power, right? And so if everything is running on, electric, on solar, I'm good. That's kind of what I want you folks to be thinking about. Is a lot of this stuff sounds real pie in the sky, like it's not something
Oh
that
yeah.
you can achieve, but you just don't know. Like you just don't know that these are things that you can do. This is a lifestyle you can have. You hear people talk about living off the grid. I'm saying I don't have to live on the top of a mountain, and so I could live right next to you in a net zero energy home and have the same and be off the grid. So, can you share with them the difference between, you talked about new builds, but what if they want to retrofit their home? Like, what they want to try and consider? Hey, Chris, I'm not ready for all that, but I already have a home. I've paid for it. Like, what can I do? Can you talk about
All
some
right.
things that they
So,
might be
well,
able to do there?
first of all, this is this season 2.
This is the this is wrapping up season 2.
Okay.
Season 2 is
So
sustainability.
I don't know what season 3 is, but season 4, I've already got the topic for season 4.
What's that?
It's gonna be like we're gonna design and build your house,
Okay.
and the title of season 4 is in the city, off the grid.
Oh, I love it. I
All
love
right.
it.
There we
Yeah,
go.
we just gotta find a location.
Yeah, no, we got
We just gotta find a location.
So yeah,
No, I love that.
so you preface this. This is new construction. Obviously, new construction is much easier to do a lot of these things.
Right.
I
Because
just
you can
finished,
design, like you can design before you even build
Yeah.
it. Like,
but I look at things breaking as opportunities. So like, so tree falls in a house or house floods or something like that. I'm like, all right, it's bad that it happened, but this is an opportunity for you to correct some of the mistakes of the past. And unfortunately, like when I'm looking at new construction right now, I'm like, man, I'll have to come back in 20 years and fix that for somebody, or my kids, or my the next generation. I'm training the next generation.
Yep.
Right now, got to send this to a producer, I got to send this to an architect, I got to send this
Nice.
looking at music. So I won't be around, but they'll be around to fix these things. But the goal is like when you're making decisions now, you don't want to make a decision you have to undo the next five years or something like that.
Okay.
So there's an order of operations to this. So for new construction, you just what we call is build tight, which is mean you're building a house that doesn't leak a lot of air.
Yep.
You ventilate right because you need oxygen. Humans, trees need carbon dioxide. We need oxygen. So
Yep.
we have the trees around here. They give us the oxygen. We need to be able to bring that into the house. The mechanical systems so they can breathe, and then we've got systems that take the carbon dioxide. They feed the trees so they can grow.
Yep.
So that's and then we also look at indoor air quality, like because humans, because everyone's like, oh, all these things in here are off gassing and stuff like that. We're the number one source of pollutants in the house. Like humans, like we shed, like you're scratching yourself, you can see those skin flakes. Dust mites eat those. The exoskeletons of the dust mites go out there, and people are like, I've got allergies to all this stuff. I was like, yeah, you're kind of allergic to you, and the byproduct
You're allergic to yourself. You're allergic to
it's you. So it's pet dander and things like that. So you seem to have like systems in your house that can help clean the air, and these systems exist in every house.
Mhm.
So like what I'm not talking about is like something special we're doing in this house. So in existing houses, so I had a client's house that just flooded. They had the flood cut, so they cut a flood cut is like where they cut all the drywall off the wall 4 feet so it can just dry out. They had all the fans and stuff in there. It's like, well, doesn't really have the right kind of insulation in the wall. I've got, and I'm gonna have a hard time air sealing this house. So it's like, what can I do to make this house perform like a new house? So I looked at it's like, well, we've got everything open, so we air seal, we put some insulation, put the drywall on, and I brought this product in. It's called Aero Barrier. It pressurizes the house and sprays this mist into it, and then this mist finds all the gaps and cracks. So I was able to make this an airtight house because typically we make it airtight from the outside.
Right.
We weren't able to do. I mean, we're doing that on this house, but on an existing house, it's like, well,
It's
you have
already
to work
in
with
place.
what you have. Like what's exposed, We fixed that.
Yep.
Then we made sure we designed the HVAC system to work for the house and the windows and everything like that. So order of operations matter. So a lot of people, like I had a client that I was talking to a few years ago, is like, Matt, I made a mistake. It's like most people do because you didn't hire me. I understand. That was your number one mistake. I was just joking. But I like to have like a master plan for them. So it's like, hey, this is your order of operations. So
That's what we look at first. This
yeah,
is a checklist.
her house is very leaky, very inefficient. She's like, well, I need to lower my utility costs, so she got a new HVAC system.
But didn't seal up anything.
But now she's sealing up stuff. And
no, I get it, but it's like
so now she's
thing.
sealing up stuff, and she's like, man, it's really humid upstairs. Like, well, it's because your HVAC system was designed for a leaky house. You sealed everything up. It's not running now, or it's short cycle isn't run long enough, so it's not able to pull moisture out of the air, the dust out of the air. So it's like, so if you're doing these things, it's like, hey, I only have this much money now. I'm going to tell you what to do first, or something. So that's. So if you want to talk really quickly about some of those things, the first thing I tell everyone is like, it doesn't matter if you have old system or new system. The first thing you want to do, especially if you're thinking about getting a new system, you work on your insulation, your air sealing.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with that. So
can you talk about? I think I heard on that building thing the other day is that instead of them kind of shooting the insulation in, they found a more strategic way to cut the insulation into like squares and kind of like snap them into place, as opposed to, or is the kind of hosing it in still a better?
It really depends. So I mean, on this house again, we're starting from scratch, so we can do whatever we want. So we're wrapping the house with a layer of 2 inches of mineral wool insulation all the way around the house. So we're creating that's the Yeti cooler effect, because every one of these studs right here. So the insulation in the cavity is 4 times as effective, because it's called R value. The thermal resistance is more effective in here than it is in the stud. So say the unit of measure for this is 1. The unit of measure per inch in here is 4. So what happens is like this is the studs and all the framings where you're losing your energy.
Right.
But in this house, since we're wrapping it with 2 inches all the way around the outside, it's stopping that energy loss from going out.
Gotcha.
So if you're re-siding your house, because again, I'm looking at, I want old houses to fail in certain ways, so you have an opportunity to
go in effectively.
So like the siding and the paint's kind of peeling in my house. I've got an old 80s house. It's very inefficient. I'm like, cool. When I replace my siding, I can add that insulation to it, then put the siding on.
But are they saying?
But if you have a new house, you're not going to do that. If it was just built, I'm not going to tell you to tear your siding off. No, of course not.
But that's what I'm saying. Like if it's a retrofit, and the insulation is inefficient, you're not gonna tear the whole walls of the house.
No, I don't want you to do that.
Is that when they would essentially shoot the insulation in between?
It depends. If you already have insulation in your wall, it's
probably, you might use that product.
It probably works already. Like I'll take it down. Like when you replace your siding, you're just taking it down to the sheathing with the plywood on the outside, and then I can just seal that up. Create an air barrier there, add the insulation, add the siding.
Gotcha.
And you leave all the finishes alone on the inside.
Okay.
So people, when they say like I'm gutting my house to like make it energy efficient, it's like you can do a lot of this from the outside. I mean, your kitchens, your bathrooms, and all that are much more expensive than the stuff on the outside. But but if you're just looking, it's like well, I have high energy bills. That's probably the last thing I'm gonna tell you to do is take your siding off, change your windows out, fix your walls.
It's leaks.
I'm going to focus on the roof because we worked with Home Performance. Energy Star has, I think they're still around. May not have, I don't know if they're around anymore, but they had, like, we would do this energy audit test and they gave us like this prioritization scale.
Yeah.
Yep. And if you had like newer windows, even if they weren't super energy efficient, it was still a very, very low priority to change them out, even though the window companies say, I'm going to save you 50% on your utility bills. The problem is if one person's saving 50%, someone's saving 70%, and like all these are just like retrofit things, is like, how are you getting me to net zero without solar? So the math isn't mathing,
Right.
So you have to. So insulation, again, it's not sexy. It's one of the cheapest things out there. Do that. You air seal at the top of your house and also at the bottom of your house.
Okay.
So if you have a crawl space or basement, do the insulation there, and we can talk about some diagrams. I can send you some images of that.
Yeah.
You can insulate the roof line. There's different ways of doing it. I'm not going to get into like what's good and bad. Everyone has an opinion on it, and I don't want to get in trouble
So,
for that.
so I asked you about insulation. So the other thing is HVAC. So when they
But
talk about,
insulation first before you do your HVAC.
no, no.
Yeah.
So where I'm going is, all right, I insulated my home, I sealed up all the leaks. When they talk to me about HVAC for NetZero, I'm thinking in my mind they've got it positioned. This is some super high level HVAC system, or is it the level of filtration in that system, or how the airflow is going in and out that improves the air quality? Can you speak to that?
Yes. So, well, first of all, the HVAC system, you always want to make sure, like for any house that we build, whether it's a new house, old house, retrofit, we always make sure that's inside and I know I promised not to use technical terms, the
That's
building
fine.
envelope. The building envelope is just basically where your insulation layer is.
Okay.
So if you're in the attic and your insulation's at your ceiling, but your HVAC is in the attic, your HVAC essentially is outside.
Outside of
And you're
it.
expecting that to work efficiently, is fighting the elements and whatnot. So what I like to do is you have it in a closet inside. If it's still in your attic, your crawl space, it's called encapsulation for crawl space and sealing for attics. You seal up your attic. I mean, there's many different ways of doing this for your crawl space. So your duct work isn't fighting that huge temperature change. In the summertime in your attic, it's 160 degrees or more.
Right.
You're trying to like reduce that temperature down to 80 degrees inside your house. If you have an insulated roof line, it's maybe 80 degrees up there, and you're trying to bring it down to 75 inside the
It's a little
house.
easier.
So yeah, it's not a delta or a change of temperature of 80 degrees. It's only 5
Right,
degrees.
right. That's easy.
So that's the
Which is
first
the
thing.
same as concept of geothermal.
But it's all about control. So like
Yep.
any of these things, the more control you have over the systems in your house, the way energy moves in and out of your house, the way heat moves into your house, that's what we're trying to achieve. So the first control that we're trying to do is like stopping heat in the summertime coming from the outside in, and stopping heat from the inside going
It's
out
going out.
in the wintertime. So that's the first thing we do. In the HVAC system, it's about control again. So we want to be able to control the temperature in all the different rooms, but we're in Georgia, talking about humidity too.
Yeah.
So in our houses, we have systems that have dual purpose, where they're moving the air around the house, but they're also removing humidity.
Okay.
We sometimes have an extra dehumidifier in there. We put that, in the attic or the crawl space, wherever we think it's going to be most humid, and that'll help take some of that moisture out of the air, so it's more comfortable.
Okay.
As far as filtration, just make sure you put those 1-inch filters are basically to keep birds and rats and vermin out of the system. It's to protect the system. A 3 or 4-inch filter is there to protect your family. So
Okay.
I always try to put in the thicker filters. And because you're asking, like, is there a fancy system? It's literally just putting a good filter. If you can afford nothing else, and
It's the
have
filter.
it
The
just
filter
put a good
makes a
filter
difference.
on it.
Okay, that's what I was asking. Like I can go to Home Depot and choose between 3 rated or 9. If I go with 9, it's probably better, right? The higher one.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yes, but like so for a 1-inch filter, for it to filter, it's tighter and tighter and tighter. So it's able to. So the better the rating on the filter means it's pulling more stuff out of the air.
Yeah.
It's pulling smaller stuff out of the air.
Right.
In general, there's some laws of physics that at a certain, like, the tighter you get, sometimes bigger stuff can get. It's weird. I don't want to get into the physics of that right now.
Yeah.
Mostly because I don't understand it. So just to be clear,
That's good.
like this PhD was explaining to me, like, that sounds cool. Just tell me the number to go with.
Yeah. So my next guest will be Bill Nye, the science guy. To
Yeah.
explain.
This guy was that. I mean, I haven't even posted that one yet. It's like, I don't know how to edit this. I don't understand it. But so with a 1-inch filter, and it's getting really small, what happens is you've got more air resistance coming through the smaller filter. So when I said 1-inch filter to protect the equipment, 3 or 4-inch filter
Protect the people.
But like if you do a 1-inch filter, you actually have to do a lower rating on it. It has to be like a 2 or a 3. You're talking about like a 9.
Yeah.
And again, Home Depot has their own scale. But that's because you want as much airflow as possible going through there, because otherwise that fan has to work too hard and your energy bill goes up.
Got you.
And if you put the super efficient filter in there, just the 1-inch filter, it's going to burn your fan out. So what you have to do is you have to get a special box.
Yep.
We work with a company called April Air. They have this pleated filter. So if you go with a deeper filter, essentially you have this more surface area, more air can go through there at that higher rating, so it can filter more out. but also it doesn't the system doesn't have to work as hard. Yeah, so that's it's
Okay.
it's basically just physics and engineering with
No,
that.
that's
But everyone's like, hey, I'm gonna go with this super. I'm gonna put a HEPA filter that's a
Right.
half inch in there. It's like you're gonna burn your system out, or and it's like you've got clean air, but you got high utility bills. So
Yep.
basically,
you figure what the trade-off
put a
is.
filter. So if you're getting that's a retrofit. If you're getting a new system and like say your system dies, and I just had one put in our house. They didn't have the right size filter box. I have to have them come back and put the right size. But the factory filter that came out was like a little screen, like, hey, this works. I'm like, again, you're protecting the equipment. I want my family to be able to breathe, so I'm going to put a. So I'm having a like special order to bring it in because I got of course I had to get a special unit just to try it out. But like whenever our viewers are looking at this, I tell them like at a minimum, if it's a 4-inch box filter where you can just change it out yourself,
Yep.
at a minimum get that, or
Okay.
you can go like a April Air or these other systems where like you change the filter out and it's a little bit more airtight.
So I got to go back and check because I definitely have a 4-inch filter, but I did use a higher rating. So I need to see. I just changed this like 3 days ago.
But
So
if you have a 4-inch filter, you're good.
then I'm good. Okay, all right. That's
Yeah,
what,
yeah.
okay. Then I'm good.
But with the 4-inch filter, if you're looking at a MERV scale, there's like it's like I don't know what MERV stands for right now.
Okay.
I'm sure there's like a rating and value or something, but essentially it's how small of the particular. So like if it's 1, it's filtering out shoes. It's 2, it's filtering out pollen. And you go up to 8, it might start filtering out dust and things like that. When you get down to like a MERV 13, like when you're cooking, it's the term called PM 2.5. These little microparticulates that are like really really small. It filters those things out because you want at least a MERV 13. And we're talking about health and stuff like that. This has to do with energy efficiency and green ability, but all this doesn't matter if you're dying from lung cancer or whatever.
Yeah.
So when you're cooking, all this stuff comes off. All those when you come home to grandma's house and it smells good, it's actually not good for you. It smells good though. I'm still going to take that. But there's a lot of particulates in the air with that. This filter filters those out.
That out. All right.
And then because what happens is you breathe those in, it goes into your bloodstream, and then some of those are the things that affect your lungs and also causes cancer.
Right. So I just want to make sure we hit everything. We hit leaks. We hit air quality at the HVAC. We hit orientation, PV. We talked about tax incentives a little bit.
Yeah.
So
by the time this gets published,
that'll be going. It'll be going by then. So yeah, I guess at this point, this is the segment. This is part of the segment we always ask our guests. It's called the spill bars or fill jars portion of the. This is the part I love. So this is where we ask our guests. They have an opportunity to rap, freestyle, or do poetry or something like that, or they may opt to cut a check. And so typically, what we ask folks is, what would you prefer to do? Would you prefer to freestyle rap, or would you prefer to make a donation to the Keep That Same Green Energy?
All right. So what we do
it's a perfect setup.
As Agent Hoots. You says. I mean, I'm a contractor, so I also subcontract stuff.
Oh, so you're subcontracting.
So I'm able to like tag team somebody in.
Nice. Smart move.
I'm actually bringing in Anthony Hoots, and he's going to talk a little about what he's doing. And earlier when we were talking, it's like what is the correlation between music and construction?
Well, no, let's talk about that. That was the one thing I didn't want you to say.
I'd like to bridge that for you. So
I was
a musician. I was in the Marine band.
Yeah, once you're a musician, you're always
a musician. Once a Marine, always a Marine too. So that's kind of works out that way. But one of the things that most people don't think. I mean, just who cares about if you don't care anything about sustainability and green building? What's the one thing that musicians love? Sound. So in this house, we're doing things for sound. We've got that layer of insulation on the outside that's helping reduce sound from the inside going out. In this room that's back over here, we're creating a drummery. So we've actually sound isolated that room so he can get in there and just like wail to his heart's content.
Sweet.
His family can't hear him. So sound is very important. Looking at design. So like when you're in a space, does it inspire you want to create music? So if the space isn't very inviting and very friendly, you're not going to want to use this space. So
Okay.
construction and music. So that, I mean, that's just from like a very practical level. But with music, you're always improvising, you're always creating, you're always trying out new ideas, you're trying to mix things together. So you said that earlier, that you're mixing two genres that typically don't go together. It's like hip hop and green energy. It's like,
right. That's what the industry says.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what it's like. It's like, yeah, that's cool that you got your two hobbies. You're trying to merge those. It does work, And we're about to bring Anthony up. He's trying to merge some things that typically don't go together. So he's got jazz, hip hop, R&B, things that usually you don't see those musicians in the same room.
Yeah.
He was able to bridge those. With construction, I'm trying to bridge, because a lot of the things we're talking about right here feel like they're not attainable. It's like, Matt, you're talking over our head. On our YouTube channel, I've got a bunch of DIY stuff. So like, I'm not like anything that we do, I'm showing you how to do it. I'm going step by step.
Yeah, you're just like,
if you can't afford the contractor.
What's our buddy's name? We just left his
Oh,
house.
Matthew?
No, we just left his house.
Oh yeah, Corbett.
Yeah,
Corbett. Yeah,
he's doing everything by himself.
Yeah, he did the whole thing. Yeah, just to say, hey, I've done it.
Yeah.
He learned a lot from that and was able to speak to that. But if you take the time to learn it, it's just like that knowledge is always yours. So if you learn the construction, you learn these techniques, you get the skill, you're working with your hands. No one can take that away. Like I was, this attorney was talking to me. He's like, I want to buy your talent. He's like, well, it's going to take you like 10 years to get to the level of where I was,
right.
Musician wise. You can't just write a check and get that.
You can't fast track.
You've got to work into it. So. Knowledge is power. They can't take that away from you. So try to get as much knowledge as possible. Study as much as possible. There's a lot of good information out there. There's a lot of free information. I don't think you have to pay for any of this if you don't want to. Okay. Now, if you want to hire me to build a house, of course you have to pay for it.
Right.
But if you want to watch my YouTube channel for free, or any of these other green building experts, that's free. The information's there. Learn as much as you can, and you want to go into any situation as educated as possible. So you're informed and also able to make good decisions and not waste money.
Absolutely.
So
I think
I know it's a bit of a stretch.
No, you and the thing is, every time I ask you that question, you continue to give me nuggets. I think the one that stood out yesterday that you gave me was, when you think about how hip hop, what hip hop represents, right? Mm-hmm. It's typically maybe underrepresented groups, but they're using what they have to pull things together. And when you think about sustainability, or you think about green energy, it's really about taking, it's just like you said, it's like, hey, I'm going against the odds. I'm trying to survive, right? I'm using what I can to survive. Hip hop was born out of, we couldn't afford instruments. We couldn't afford to learn, get lessons and stuff like that. So we used records that we either borrowed or stole, and we sampled from it and created our own sound, and then used that to make. Again, it's all about surviving. So with sustainability, from Legrand's perspective, is I want people to understand how to live without having to rely on somebody else.
Oh, absolutely.
So whether it's growing your own food, or whether it's getting your whole home to run on solar, or if it's cisterns for your water supply because it's there, like that level of sustainability for your life, whether that feels like you're being off the grid, or it's just you're out of the rat race, like you're off, no one is controlling. You do. You have to control how you survive. But thinking more sustainably, I think, in my opinion, leads to longevity. And that's kind of where I think that hip hop and its foundations of figuring it out, how to be sustainable on your own. If nothing else, we know how to sample. We could sample the birds in the background and make beats out of it and make music, right? That's what we do. That's we're creatives. And so it's the same thing with sustainability and green energy. It's like, folks, let's figure out how we can be independently creative and be independent and survive. Because let's be honest, there are forces out there that do not want us to survive. And that's just not people of color. That's just generally people that have and don't have. And so think about it that way, and that's the piece where I want you to focus on from a sustainability.
Absolutely, it's a power struggle. It's about control. if you're able to control your own energy, your own knowledge, your own destiny, you're able to basically survive. And it's not just about survival; it's just about being independent. And so, like with if you have solar source, I mean, green energy is great. If you own the green energy, it's even better. And like you said, there's always forces trying to fight that. It's like
Absolutely.
they don't want you to be independent. They don't want you to be energy efficient. So I actually was sponsored at one of our projects that came by. George Power came by. He's like, why are you even sponsoring this? It's like, aren't we supposed to be selling energy? And I'm like, yes, but I'm also helping you reduce your demand energy at peak energy. So I'm actually helping you out. This is not a bad thing. You need houses like this. Not every house is going to be like this. You're fine. Like you're not going to.
You're still making money. Like
you're still going to have power. And there's plenty of people not doing solar. We're in Atlanta. We have a lot of trees in Atlanta. It's like you're not going to have that. But the more you can do to control your energy, control your consumption, have the knowledge, learn how to do some of these things yourselves. And I encourage everyone to DIY if you can. What are the correlations between say green building, green energy, and hip hop? You were talking about birds earlier, and we can hear the birds in the background.
Definitely.
So, like, what does the male bird do? He goes around, picks up pieces from the local environment. He doesn't go to China. He doesn't go to Russia. He doesn't go to South America to get his pieces. It's like everything's within 100 yards as local. So you're talking about like local eating, local. You grow your own food. That's of course it's very local.
Table,
and farm to table with that. So that male bird, he's making his house for it's like, hey, look, my wife, let's make some babies right here. Let's have some eggs. Let's grow our family right here. Everything's local. With hip hop, typically you've got different genres. You have different styles. You have East Coast, West Coast. You have Atlanta. Like you basically have a certain style or certain. You basically work with the local musicians. Yes, there's collaborations outside your city, but it's like, hey, people are very proud of where they're from. Same thing with green building. It's we're kind of like that bird. The more I can source products that are close to here, the less of a carbon footprint. So you have to look at how much energy does it take to get the product to here. So again, staying local. There's local for resilience. There's local just for community. There's local for culture. But it's also like when you stay local, it's also for carbon footprint.
Well, you could have summed it up when you started talking about birds. I thought you were going to say, "Go Birds." If you're an Eagles fan, you understand what that is. But anyway, so we're going to transition. We want to thank our guest Matt Hoots for being here, even though he's going to tag his son in for the next segment. Anything you want to say signing off? Shout out your YouTube channel or anything like that before we bring Anthony in.
Again, it's free. It's not subscription based. We make our money by building. We also want to give back to people that are learning. We do free consulting through our comments. So if you have a question, leave in the comments. If it's not a dumb question, I will respond to it. If you're just being a troll, I might troll you back. Just
I shouldn't throw some plans in the comments.
Sure. If you want, I'm
just
honest.
Shoot a PDF up there.
I mean, if you want everyone else to know your business, I will answer your question in the comments. Try to stay anonymous if you want. So that's just at SawHorse Design and Build. You'll provide a link for that.
Yep.
But guys, I do have to say, like when I was wearing this shirt, so if we're getting a shout out to the merch, definitely buy this if you want to help support.
Nice.
Chris's channel, Legrand's channel. Buy this because as soon as I pulled it out, it's like, hey, you need to wear this, and I pulled it out. Like I was actually at a conference, and everyone's like, I want that shirt. I'm like, it's mine. Like you can have it. So I need to wear it on camera. So
if you're one of those people that said that you wanted that shirt, it's easy to go through the TikTok shop, but you can also go to keepthatsamegreenenergy.org, and we'll get them to you as soon as possible.
Okay.
Thank you, man.
You guys have a GoFundMe or Patreon or anything like that?
So my Patreon exists. I am, for the moment, I'm trying to get the YouTube numbers up before transferring back to Patreon.
Okay.
And right now we're just under 8,000 subscribers. So probably when I get to 10, I'll move over there. Nice. I had the pages set up.
Yeah.
I just got to move over and activate it. But so maybe I'll have both after season 2. But right now, season 1 and season 2. This will be part 2 of season 2, but the seasons are up on keepthatsamegreenenergy.org. They're also on YouTube. So if you got nothing to do, binge watch them. It'll be fun. You'll learn a lot. And again, I want to thank Matt Hoots for his participation.
The support his channel. I think for me, I mean, you're doing this as a hobby too, because you have this, you've got your primary business. This is like you're trying to support sustainability and whatnot. So there are production costs with this. There's editing costs. I heard him talking to his producer earlier. He's talking about like sending out to editors. He's paying for that.
Yes.
And if you guys can help support him with that,
I appreciate
buy
it,
the
bro.
merch, you know, give a like. I don't know if you've got your monetization turned on, memberships or whatever.
Yep.
You know, give them $5 if you like the video.
Thank you.
I don't give all the money.
Or buy a shirt. You know,
Yeah, buy a shirt. Buy a house for me, buy a shirt for him. That's how you can support both of us.
And as always, keep that same green energy. We're going to take a moment to switch the mics out, and then we'll be right back to you. All right. What up, bro? You know what it is? This is the segment that we like to call spill bars or fill jars, but you know, Legrand and Anthony going to, you know, we're going to collaborate and see what we can cook up. So let me cook for a minute. So
Know that bounce, that's me and Hoots on the beat. Stay strapped for boots in the street. Won't get clapped by you trying to reach. Won't get tapped by a trick trying to leech. No cat, get some thick, find a beach. Make them haters sick. When I say thick, Georgia thick kind of peach. Y'all know that bounce, that's me and Hoots on the beat. Stay strapped for boots in the street. Won't get clapped by you trying to reach. Won't get tapped by a trick trying to leech. No cat, get some thick, find a beach. And make them haters sick. When I say thick, Georgia thick kind of peach, you know it.
just like that, the bully's back to the fully vaxxed. Took a pandemic and racism just to pull me back. Even in this dire hour, I got more firepower, way above y'all like the fire tower. The fear of death and turn the face of a quiet sour. Only soldiers here, I would never hire cowards. Any day you introduce you to the higher power. Get them while you can smell them if you desire flowers. These bars, they require hours. Y'all losing your mind, I rewired hours. Now here's a double entendre. When you hear this beat, the murder your entendre. Yo, off the top of the dome, tear the meat straight off of the bone, burn you down to the chromosome. Ain't nobody's home, in the zone. Stare when I'm flashing the chrome. You know it's me off the top of the dome. Still get it in, maybe tapping your chin. Once again, we do it for the keep that scene green energy. It's like it's 10 of me, not your enemy. Be a friend of me and send you 3 shots to your dome. And we got dust coming from the air. Make no mistake and put your hands in the air, wave them everywhere. What up, world? It's Legrand back at the Keep That Same Green Energy podcast. And before I let him go, I just want to thank Anthony for showing up. Anthony Hoots was here. We got the chance to collaborate on some beats. We had some technical difficulties,
all good.
But we're working through it. And he's a big Dilla head, so you know we already connected on a major level. But Anthony, before you leave, man, just share any thoughts you have and your socials and where people can connect with you.
Yeah, really fun time. We'll have to do this again.
Sure.
You can find me Anthony.Hoots_music on YouTube, Instagram. So, yeah.
Say less. He's got some beats and stuff up there. You know, I've been checking out his page for a little bit. So check him out, check me out. And as always, keep that same green energy. We out.
You think we'd be sick? I'm running out of energy.
First of all, on the phone, you promised that any song that I mentioned you would sample. So I can't wait to see St. Thomas and Bob the Builder in the sample. First of all, on the phone, you promised that any song that I mentioned you would sample. So I can't wait to see St. Thomas and Bob the Builder in the sample.